Hey friends, Doug with D&E in the garage. Today we're tearing apart the front of the XJ, trying to diagnose some sloppy steering, which I have traced to the track bar. Now if you've been keeping up with my videos, I replaced the track bar in this in December. If you want to see the video on that, card up in the corner. So I don't think it's blown. What I think it is this component right here. This is the mount, obviously not the one from this Jeep. This is one I had laying around. This is the track bar mount, and I think we're gonna find out. I think this hole down here may be wallowed out. So if you have a solid front axle Jeep, there's a very good chance that at some point in your life you're gonna be diagnosing sloppy steering that is the result of a track bar. It's kind of just, it comes with the territory. I love solid front axle vehicles, but that means a lot of track bar maintenance. Let's dig in, see what we can find out. Alrighty friends, whenever you're looking at a sloppy steering issue and you think it might be track bar related, the first thing you want to do is get underneath, get your hands on these components, and try to move them. Alright, now in my case, I can't move this. What you're going to want to do is try to wiggle it back and forth, which is basically see if you can create any movement up here or in the mount on the other side. If you can't, the next step is to turn the vehicle on, you stay underneath, and have somebody turn the wheel from lock to lock and back and forth, just kind of wiggle it, you know. And if there's any play at that point, you will see it. Now, I already did that, and I see this not going up or down like it did when it was blown in December, but just back and forth a little bit, which is why I think that hole was wallowed out. Now, the XJ has the absolute worst track bar setup ever. It's got this tie rod end thing instead of having you know, like a bushing with a bolt through it like WJs do. This is an example of a WJ upper track bar mount. In my opinion, it's stronger, it's easier to diagnose, and it's easier to replace. You can see it's just, you know, more like a control arm. There's a bushing, bolt that goes through it. Easier to access. In general, this is a better setup, and I think that's why Jeep switched over to this in the WJs. Alright, so really the best way to diagnose this is going to be to take the whole track bar out. It's a bummer, but I think it's the only way. You can't really get inside this bracket very well to diagnose it. So it's, I think it's 4 bolts. They're all 18s. There's 2 of them up here, and the other 2 are down under here. I don't know how well you can see them. It's not fun to get to them, especially not if you don't have a impact gun, which I don't have with me right now. So we're gonna get to removing these bolts, see what we can find. Here's a little hint for you. To get to those bracket bolts, you're gonna want to take your driver's side tire off. If you jack up the vehicle though, the only thing you're gonna be able to get in there is an offset wrench. All right, this spring keeps you from getting any kind of socket in there or anything. What you're gonna have to do, support the body, let this spring down, let the whole axle come down on this side, then you can get whatever you need to in there. Alright, now that that spring is decompressed a bit, I can get my socket right on there. Continue taking these 2 top bolts out. Once you get the 2 up top, 2 down below are pretty cut and dry. They're kind of back there, so you're going to need extensions and swivel sockets, and chances are they're covered in grease from your tie rod ends like mine. But those are the last 2. Once you get those out, the whole thing will drop down. Alright, now that all the fasteners are loose on there, to be able to take the whole thing out, you need to come on down here to the axle side mount. This is a 15 mil bolt. These things are always real tight in there. It's got a flag nut on the other side, so you don't need to get a wrench on the other side. You just need to get it on this side and really give it the business. I've snapped a lot of these. I've had to use impact guns, so this part is always tons of fun. Yep, I knew that was gonna break. So that's my axle side bolt broke off. I'm gonna have to get a replacement for that before I can fix it. That's the bad news. The good news is the track bar and everything's out. Let's go take a look at what we're looking at over there. So here's what I think happened. This nut, I just pulled the cotter pin out, and this nut was, it loosened up quite a bit. I mean, I didn't even have to use a wrench to get it off. So let's see. I'm assuming this allowed the post to move around in that bracket and maybe wallow it out. I mean, I think these are supposed to be torqued to like 20 something, 30 something. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly part of the problem. Let's see, can you guys see? I'll be honest, this doesn't look that wallowed out. it looks a little bit long right here this way. Either way, this one is much cruddier and rustier than that spare one I have. I'm going to replace this one with the new one I have. I don't think this track bar is blown yet. There's still a lot of rigidity in this. These threads don't look too screwed up. I should be able to get this nut back on with a new cotter pin. I'm thinking the whole thing was just loose. That might be my problem. Alrighty, by some miracle, I had a leftover bolt from a steering damper for the WJ that fits perfectly in there. And this is the nut off a rear sway bar link from a WJ. So today we were able to hobble this together. Now obviously this isn't a flag nut, so it's going to be a bit of a struggle getting it on there, but it's better than having to drop everything and run out to the store. Alright, getting all this lined up again can be a nightmare. Here's what I suggest. Get your track bar in there. That means over your drag link and tie rod. Put the bolt, put it into the mount down there. Put the bolt in. You don't have to tighten it or anything, just so that it holds it up. Alright? Then over here, you want to try to get your bracket up and onto these two posts. Now they will disappear into the frame. Never fear though. Up in the engine bay, they are very accessible. Let's see, can you see them right there? Right there. This is the actual bracket. Can't get to it and camera. Right here, this guy. That is the bracket. Oh boy, hand stuck. Oh, that's his, those two posts right there. So if it's easier, push it into the frame, get your thing in position, then have somebody help you push it out the other way. I don't have anybody helping me today, so I'm going to do the back and forth type jam. Once you have your track bar bracket on these two, I would say go ahead and put the nut on the axle side mount, get that tightened down, get these tightened down, then put the other two in from the bottom. I'm going to go do that now. If I run into any problems, I'll bring you guys in. Alright, getting this tightened without the flag nut was not easy. The bolt I used was 16 mil head, 15 mil head nut on the other side. Everything lined up fine, you know, but you can't get a wrench in here. So what I had to do is I got a screwdriver in this way, and I was able to hold the nut in place long enough to get enough pressure that then it stayed in place as I turned this one. Whew, definitely not the right way to do it. I mean, it's going to hold though. I'm going to be real annoyed when I have to change this at some point, but whatever. For now it's good. It's nice and tight. Thankfully I had the parts in the garage to use, because getting a flag nut like that's not just as easy as running to the store. It's a specialty part. So I got this all tightened down. I don't know what the torque specs on this stuff are. My experience with tie rod ends, my experience with track bar ends like this, just get them as tight as you freaking can. Don't snap it, obviously. Alright, let's get out from under this Jeep and we'll do a little recap. Alrighty friends, this job was a success. I just got back from the test drive. It drives so much better. No more bump steer, no more float in the steering wheel, no more banging, clanging when I'm going back and forth. Might have even added 5 horsepower, you never know, right? So if you have any questions about what I did, what the process is, what your problem might be, by all means leave me a comment down in the squawk box. If you liked the video, and I hope you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.